Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Morris Merriweather, the author of Enough is Enough. Public education has spiraled out of control, and also the host of Straight Talk in room 503. Thank you for joining me again for another week in Straight Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic this week again will be who packed your parachute? Who packed your parachute? Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin, I'm going to do a little information, my opinion on some current events that is going on. Then we'll talk about what's going on in my hometown and the same thing that's going on in your hometown, as I normally say. And then we will get into some public education issues. And then we're going to let you out of class a little bit early this week because you've been so attentive and you've been attending class on a weekly basis. So I want to reward you a little bit. So this session will not be as long as previous session. So let's get underway, ladies and gentlemen, and let's talk. Again, as I said, we're going to talk about who packed your parachute. All right, let's get this straight. The makers of a parachute, when they are designing and making this parachute, normally it's used for those who are skydiving or those that are pilots on an airplane, so as to protect him, to make sure that if something if the malfunction, he can eject and he can land safely, hopefully. So the parachute is a way of saying that we care enough about you that we want to equip you with something that could possibly save your life. We want to make sure that you have a second chance, that you make it safe. We're concerned about you. So that's the whole logic behind a parachute. So, ladies and gentlemen, as this week's topic, who packed your parachute, I want to say this. Those who attend my session weekly and those who do not attend the session weekly, it makes me wonder who packed your parachute. Because if the person cares a great deal about you, they're going to test and retest to make sure that when you pull that ripcord, that the parachute deploys and that you land safely and that you have another chance to have the quality of life that you was enjoying or that you should be enjoying. So, ladies and gentlemen, it makes me wonder, all of us had people who packed our parachute. Now, there was 3 individuals who packed my parachute. 1 was spiritual and 2 was human. The spiritual being is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He packed my parachute the day that I was born. He cared. He said he would be there for me and make sure that I had a successful life. Then he provided me with parents, my mom and my dad, who cared greatly for me. I had secondary people, which was my sisters, who was there to make sure that I land safely and that if I need to deploy the parachute, had some trouble, I got into some trouble, that I was able to deploy that parachute and land safe and have a quality of life that I should have. Each of us have had someone to prepare pack our parachute for us, that we had a second chance. Some of us are doing as well as we are because of who packed our parachute. We have forgotten who packed our parachute that helped us when we deployed the ripcord, got into some little trouble, that we landed safe. A lot of us landed in nice neighborhoods, nice home environments, nice place of employment, nice financial positions, nice mates. We did well, but we did well because our main maker, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, packed our parachute And then he made sure that we had the right ripcord in our life that would help us to be successful. Then there are some of us who, once we made it, we tend to forgotten who packed our parachute, and we do nothing to make sure that others have the same quality of life that we enjoy. That is why the maker of the parachute, Jesus Christ, said we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. Well, that being true, why is it that you're not trying to make sure that you help pack other people's parachute? Now, in public education, we do less in preparing those others who are on the way and make sure that when they deploy the ripcord and they in trouble, they're having some problems, that they land safe. Yet we forget who we are because we had someone. And a lot of the time, it was not all your parents. It was people in the neighborhood, people at church, relatives. As Hillary Clinton was saying, it takes a village to raise a child. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was many people in the village packing our parachute, making sure that the ripcord would deploy when we got into trouble. Now that we have children in the public school who need our help in packing their parachute that they may have a safe landing, we tend to forget who packed our parachute. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day when we do not want to or not willing to help pack other people's parachute because of their background, their origin, or their race, ladies and gentlemen, sexual orientation. It's a sad day that we do not help others to pack their parachute, that they too may be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with me. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now for a little current event. I think it's amazing that Donald Trump Secret Service is costing $1 million a day. We have his entire family involved, and all of them have Secret Service. Ladies and gentlemen, America will spend more on the Trump family than ever in the history of the presidential, on any president of the past. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's ironic that we had one of the most outstanding presidents and first lady of our time. And we perhaps, at least, let me just be personal and say that I don't think in my lifetime that I will see someone of the caliber of President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. But I found it really strange that people that we like, love, trust, associate with every day, work for, see on the street, visit with them, break bread with them, what have you, when they looked at President Obama, referred to President Obama, they would not even say President Obama, wouldn't give him the respect because of the color of his skin. They would say Obama. Now, it was not only those of the white race, some African Americans also would say Obama. But when it comes to President Bush, we would say President Bush. We didn't say George. When it was Bill Clinton, we didn't say Bill. We said President Clinton. When we talk about Andrew Jackson, who Jackson, Tennessee, my hometown name, we don't say Andrew. We say President Jackson. But just did not want to give him that respect. But thank God that he was chosen by the maker and creator, because no one could have been able to master all that he mastered and would have been able to accomplish the things that he accomplished if he was not ordained and anointed by God. So thank God for that. But it just bothered me that, and another thing, when President Obama sat down with President-elect Trump, he was very upfront with him and honest. Even President-elect Trump had to recognize that he was a good man. He was concerned. He has since that time, the same man that he talked about and said that he should never have been president. He wasn't an American citizen. Watch the tide, because the Bible tells us, whatsoever a man soweth, therefore should he reap. Man said, what go around, come around. So now this man is sitting down with the first black president. You say what you want to. This is straight talking. I'm just straight with you. President Obama was and is well respected as a president of the United States. There are many people that even now after the election are saying that the president-elect has lost his mind. President Obama wasn't waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning and tweeting everybody. He was making preparation for the next day to make sure that this country of ours, America, which doesn't need to be made great because we already are a great country, was being sustained. So, ladies and gentlemen, I find it ironic. Then this is the first time that we have the children of the president involved in the day-to-day operation, sitting down with world leaders. If President Obama's daughters was present in a meeting with a foreign ambassador or dignitary, there would have been just an outcry all over the country, but not for Mr. Trump, the billionaire, excuse me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just think it's a sad day. Now, there is a televangelist by the name of David Rick Jordan. David Rick Jordan, journal, Joyner. It didn't come out right. My silence is messing with me today. This is what he stated. This is a man, say he called by God. If you look at the disciples that Jesus chose, they was all Donald Trump. Now, even Pookie and Nene and Bubba from the hood never would have made a statement like that. If you look at the disciples that Jesus chose, they would all be Donald Trump. He went on to say that every one of them, talking about the 12 disciples, the 12 that God chose when he came to earth, every one of them was Donald Trump. Isn't that something? A supporter of Donald Trump will make an idiotic statement like that. And ladies and gentlemen, he's on TV. He has followers. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to revisit it. Our so-called friends. I know I have. There was a lot of them in my hometown right now that I looked up to, thought was very brilliant, smart guys. And ladies and gentlemen, based upon this election, I don't know about you, but it did for me. It helped me to understand that there's a lot of idiotic, stupid, crazy, out of this world fools that attend the mega churches, that are holding public office, that are living in the White House with the picket fence and the poodle and one child or Megan, and it's just as off the wall as they can be. You see, just because you live in certain neighborhoods and just because you make certain income doesn't make you wise. Let me tell you, a wise man is he that knows that he doesn't know everything. A fool is one that thinks that he knows everything. Donald Trump said he knows as much as the generals. And people just flock to him. But ladies and gentlemen, being real, there are lots of people of the other race that feels that Donald Trump is a guy that can help turn the clock back on people of color. But ladies and gentlemen, it is not important to me who's in the White House, who's going to the White House now. But what's important to me is who's sitting in heaven, because that's who holds my future. Donald Trump doesn't hold my future. Man doesn't hold my future. I don't know about you, but my future's in the hand of a God Almighty. He may have Secret Service, and he does have Secret Service, that's costing America $1 million a day. Can you imagine what that would do for public education? Just the Secret Service for Donald, not for his family. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that it's sad that money is being spent for all kind of foolishness in this president-elect. And it's just like he's on the world stage, and he is to a degree. And he's making decision on who will be the next Secretary of State. Isn't it strange how that Mitt Romney called him a fraud and talk ugly about him, and then knuckle down and want to be in his cabinet? Now, we talk about the poor kids in public schools, and certainly do we talk about the little Afro-American kids. But when you look at our so-called people of intelligence, that I'll talk about you today, and then tomorrow I'm kissing your butt. Ladies and gentlemen, even in the hood, when Bubba and Pookie have a run-in, they don't like each other for the rest of their life. Now, that's not right, and that's wrong. But that's how they do. But when you got money, and you want more money, and you want recognition, you'll kiss butt to do it. That is why we're having problems in public education, because it was asked to me about 4 or 5 days ago, Mr. Merriweather, why is it that more people are not joining you and Reverend Baxter in the struggle to improve public education? And I said, well, they're afraid of rocking the boat. They're afraid of they may lose their comfort zone. They're afraid that the good old boys and Mr. Charlie may not like me. They may ostracize me. They may not come to my church and put $300 or $400 in the tray, or they may not slide something in my suit coat pocket. They may not call me Reverend so-and-so. They may not call me Mr. So-and-so. And so, ladies and gentlemen, from Merriweather's point of view, I frankly don't give a you fill in the blank, because I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know where I am, and I know where I'm going. And I really don't need man to elevate me. And ladies and gentlemen, if you could ever get to where I am right now, some of you, oh, what a time you would have. You know, I am better off retired than when I was going to work every day. I have peace of mind. I don't have to worry about having to say and watch myself around people. I can be real and be who I am, and don't have to worry about anybody coming and repossessing anything from me, taking anything from me. I am truly blessed, anointed by God, and that's all I need. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. Donald Trump and his family have hundreds of Secret Service men that are guarding them and watching them. But thank God I don't have one Secret Service man or woman. But I do have hundreds of angels watching over me 24/7. I prefer to have angels and not Secret Service. So, ladies and gentlemen, give that some thought, and I'll be right back with you. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I was by several of the schools today, and I noticed that there was sometimes 2 and 3 police cars on the the parking lot. I talked with a friend in Nashville about an hour before this telecast who was subbing in the Nashville, Davidson County area. And she stated to me that she had a bad experience the last 3 days of subbing, that some of the kids was all out of control, and that she didn't know if she'd ever want to go back. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't boast and brag. Everything's factual. And I tell anyone that I could not have accomplished the things when I was administrator by myself, because my background was not in education and juvenile justice, but I was ordained and anointed by my maker and my creator. But no one to this day, and I don't need recognition. I really don't need that now. Didn't need it then, don't need it now. I just need a crown and glory. But ladies and gentlemen, we had a 98% success rate, 98.5 success rate with the students. I don't think that we got any schools, or many schools in this area as well as your area, that can boast and brag on that. We had zero problem with the staff. I've never had anyone that transferred away from me because they didn't want to be there. My problem was I had to run them away, tell them go home, because they didn't want to leave. They want to stay and prepare for the next day and do this and do that. Didn't have a complaint by the parents. And believe me, I was a hand-on and very strict and disciplinary, and very strong disciplinary. But the students knew that I cared for them and I loved them, and that I wouldn't put up with any foolishness. We was on a mission, and that failure was not an option, that they had to learn, because God entrusted them to me. And just think, if every school board, administrator, teacher, staff person said to themselves every day as they begin their day, God has entrusted every child, rich or poor, black or white, male or female, to me to make better. Because someone packed my parachute, I'm going to help pack their parachute. If we had that going on, public education would fare with private schools. You see, private school, they have to pack parachute because they'll be packing their bags. But in public education, you don't have to pack the parachute. You don't have to system with the parachute. You just make sure that you make the day. Isn't that sad? All right, let's move on, where we can get out of class a little bit early. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. When you go to Popeye and you get your receipt, Popeye chicken, my, New Orleans style, Popeye chicken. Listen, they on the receipt, if you fill out the survey, they will give you 2 pieces of chicken and you just buy a drink. Ladies and gentlemen, every fast food place and some of the in-house restaurants that I go to, they want you to fill out a survey, tell us about our service so that we can get better and that we can grow. Have you ever stopped to think that when it comes to public education, nobody wants you to tell them squat? Like for a different word. But I was looking at the survey, and it says on the survey, what would you change? They want to know so that they can continue to improve and to make more money and improve their business and their relationship with the customer. In public education, the customer is the child and the mother and the father. But it doesn't appear that we care whether they are going to improve or not, as long as we improve and keep our status in life. They ask you, did the cashier give you good eye-to-eye contact? Why? These children in public education know when the teachers love them or care about them. That's why it's so much problem in public education, because we have superintendents in my hometown and yours too, that is political. They are just loading it up with friends of the board members and what have you. The board members' children are attending private schools, and yet they're making their money off of the backs of poor people. We're paying the taxes that's going to pay for them. It says, would you recommend Popeye to a friend? What if we asked in a survey in public education, would you recommend Miss Jones for any other child? Or would you recommend to come back in that class next year? It also said that the cashier, do you feel like they value you? Why don't we ask question, do you feel like Miss Jones is really caring about you? Is she really motivating you? Does she really want to see that you make it? Is she really packing your parachute? What is the likelihood of you returning, according to Popeye? What if we was asking, now that you have had Mr. Todd, would you recommend your brothers and sisters also go to his class? Ladies and gentlemen, and I won't go on and on, but you know how the survey questions asked. In my school, every year, the staff evaluated me, the students evaluated me, and the parents evaluated me, as well as the teacher and the entire staff. Because if we had a bad apple, oh boy, we need to throw that apple out before it ruined the whole bunch. And then if I was not the administrator that I should have been, watch this, ladies and gentlemen, I turned the evaluation over to the superintendent. That the superintendent would see the evaluation and what the students and the parents said. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think that I'm blowing smoke, you holler at me and I'll make sure that I can put you in touch with a staff member that even now, and I'm retired, will tell you that that is the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, straight talk. Someone packed my parachute. I pulled the ripcord, I made it, and I'm willing to go back and prepare someone else's parachute. And I hope that this telecast, this information, this classroom is letting you know that I'm serious about improving public education. If Reverend Baxter and I have to go along, I want you to know that I'm not recruiting you. You have to want to do what's right for yourself. But I'm here to tell you that I'm going to go all of the way in making sure that I continue to keep public education on the front burner. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. So let me find this and then we're going to get out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought about this so much. It's a serious matter when you and your spouse or your loved one, your husband, decide on bringing a child into this world, because you have an awesome responsibility. Their responsibility is to do one thing: prepare this child to make it home to heaven, or to neglect the child and allow the devil to possess the soul, and he or she ends up in hell. Ladies and gentlemen, as I wrap up this session, listen to this little comment. I'll try to read it slow. That I know I talk fast. Sometimes you may not get it, but listen to this. You cannot force anyone to comprehend a message that they are not ready to receive. One more time. You cannot force someone to comprehend a message they are not ready to receive. And as I told Reverend Baxter just last week, this statement really says it all. That is why that we don't have people joining the bandwagon, because I don't want to force you to do anything. I want you to volunteer to do the right thing. But you can't, I can continue to give you the message. But if you're not ready to receive it, afraid that Mr. Bill, that your friends, that the good old boys may not like you, then you should not attend my class. Still, you must not underestimate the power of planting seeds. So even though lots of you are not ready for the message. I do not want to underestimate the power of planting a seed. So I come to you each week planting seeds. All of them will not grow up. All of them will not germinate and come up, but some will. And that keeps me coming back week after week because I know that some seeds will grow from the class of Straight Talk in room 503. Thank you again for joining me. I'm your host, Morris Merriweather, Straight Talk in room 503, and the author of Enough is Enough. Public education has spiraled out of control. Join me or be left behind. But when I reach up and pull my ripcord with my parachute, I shall land where the good Lord want me to. Where will you land when you reach up and pull your ripcord? Thank you, and I'll see you next week. To the end, take care. Remember that God loves you, and so do I. Take care.